Alright, so this is the water bath that's associated with the Rotovap. So what's important here is to make sure that you have a sufficient amount of water and ice, so that facilitates the cooling of this water condenser. Okay, so now let's move over here. This is the Rotovap machine. This is going to be your water bath that's full of DI water. This is the solvent trap like you find in a regular vacuum filtration. Same idea. It's just a trap just to make sure that no solvents get bumped. This is another solvent trap, but this has to do with the vacuum. Same idea, like vacuum filtration. This is the water condenser that's used to cool down the vapors so they can drop down into the receiving flask. And this is the pump that you have to make sure that's vital to help. Pretty much, it helps boil your solution at a lower temperature. Okay. And so this is the spinning nodule right here, and this is the heating nodule down here. So you want to make sure this is pretty high up, maybe around 90, just to get the boiling, or just to get the water boiling. And you want to make sure this is down to 0 before you start. And this is the nodule that goes up and down so that you can drop your solution into the bath to facilitate the boiling of your organic solution. Okay, so now over here I have a 100 milliliter round bottom flask that contains a mixture of methylene chloride as well as benzoic acid. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this inside here, inside the solvent trap. So, and make sure whatever you do not pull the solvent trap. It's going to break. So just be very careful, very gentle. Just slide this in like such. And it's vital that you use a keg clamp to make sure that nothing falls out, like that, like such. Okay? So now there's two things that you want to take note of before you begin the Rotovap. The first thing is, you want to make sure that this part is closed so no vapors are released, no pressure is released, because the pressure is going to help the boiling, help facilitate the boiling. So make sure that's closed for right now. And then you want to make sure that you turn the pump on. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to turn the pump on. Right, so now we're going to slowly increase the spinning, as you can see. And now we're going to go up, and up, and up, and all the way until 9, 10, doesn't matter. So the idea here is you don't want to put the round bottom flask into the water too quick, because that'll bump whatever solution you have into the solvent trap, and then once that goes in, you're going to lose product, which obviously messes up your yields. You don't want to do that. So you want to make sure that you give this about maybe 2 minutes to just settle and let the vacuum do its job and let the water condenser do its job before you begin putting it into the DI water. So we'll give it some time. You can see how everything's working right now. The water condenser is flowing. And okay, so the point of this, it's not your regular water condenser, right? You see coiled spiral shapes. So what that does is it just gives the water a chance to cool itself even further, because of the heat. You want to be able to cool this so the vapors come, so the organic solution drops down here, and you're just left with your benzoic acid at the end. So it's given enough time. So now we're going to drop it lightly, slowly and lightly, just like such. Now we're going to relax for a little bit. So we're going to let this go. As you can see, we can see the benzoic acid already forming around there. You see the rings. There hasn't been any organic solute, any methylene chloride dropping to the receiving flask yet. Okay, so now we can see that our organic solution has been traveling the condenser, and now it's dripping down into the receiving flask. So the water condenser is obviously doing its job. It's cold. It's condensing the vapor so that it falls down into here. And now we can see, if we look back here, we see our benzoic acid forming. Now there's two ways to know if our solution is finished, if there's any solution in here or not. First thing is to make sure, once the solution stops dripping in here, you know that you probably don't have any solution left. The second way to find out is pretty much by stopping the rotating, bringing it up, and checking if there's any solution in here. It looks like there's none, right? So we're done now. So now there's two things you have to make sure you do. First thing is you want to close the pump. So we're going to close the pump first, and then we're going to release the pressure. This is vital. Make sure you don't forget these two. You got to release the vapor, close the pump. And then you're going to stop the spinning, and you can reduce the temperature. Right? So now you want to so now another part is to make sure that you don't break the solvent trap. Don't break it. So we're going to open the clamp, and release it. And now we have our product, our benzoic acid. Now a point of cautionary measure could be that you should pre-weigh your round bottom flask before you put your solution in here, so that right after you're done rotovapping, you can go measure it and not mess up. And that's essentially the idea behind the Rotovap. Is to pretty much get your product out of a solution.